Welcome to Breathwell Coaching. We're here to help you connect within from the comfort of your own home to help you overcome stress and anxiety through guided breathwork, mindful meditation, and somatic movement practices like yoga and Pilates. You can also partner with one of our certified health and wellness coaches so that you can make positive, lasting, and sustainable changes in your health and well-being. For more details, check out breathwellcoaching.com.
Air hunger, being hungry for air, having that feeling that you can't get a satisfying breath, having panic attacks, over breathing. These are all breathing pattern disorders that I work with clients to overcome. A lot of these accompany anxiety. When you have panic attacks, you have a lot of fear and anxiety, and that kind of gets overwhelming. And then you're breathing in a way that's suboptimally. Usually it's short, shallow, quick breaths, not using the respiratory diaphragm, and this just kind of gets you in that panic cycle. So what I like to do with clients is I like to take a multifaceted approach of overcoming air hunger, anxiety, panic attacks by looking at your breathing biomechanics. So starting with just not the pace of how you're breathing, so it's not just box breathing or 4-7-8 breathing or breath holds. That's not where we start. We start by activating the respiratory diaphragm, helping you learn proper breathing biomechanics so that you're breathing well. Once we build strength in that muscle, which it's a type 1 muscle fiber type, so it responds to endurance. That means that we have to put it under a load for a period of time for it to adapt. So we slowly start to build muscle endurance strength in that respiratory diaphragm so that it's default. It's always going to activate versus having the neck and shoulders as your primary mover for activating and for bringing in air. So for respiration, that's where we start. It sounds really it's a lot of physiology. I love to teach that part of my course, but it's going to be really helpful for you to start to identify some of those suboptimal breathing patterns you might have. One I see a lot of my clients have is holding the breath. So you might be holding the tummy in and kind of having these almost subconscious breath holds. This is almost a trauma type of breathing pattern where you're bracing for impact and you're just holding the belly in constantly. This forces a shallow breath. Mouth breathing is another one that we want to look to overcome. The nose is for breathing, the mouth is for eating. And so we want to make sure that throughout the day, at rest, and during low to moderate intensity exercises, you're breathing in through the nose. So especially the inhale comes in through the nose. This will actually make you use the respiratory diaphragm a little bit better. So that's the breathing part of how I help clients overcome air hunger, panic attacks. And the other part of it is wellness. So I've been a certified wellness coach for many years, and it was a part of my graduate work when I was in college back in 2010. I've also been a certified yoga instructor and really leaned into the mindfulness work that is super beneficial when you're trying to overcome anxiety. So I've overcome panic attacks and air hunger myself, so I can definitely speak to these issues from not only a personal standpoint, but also a professional standpoint. I've been doing this type of work for a really long time, even prior to myself having experienced postpartum anxiety, panic attack, breathing pattern disorder. So I have kind of like this personal and professional experience, but I love to introduce wellness as a tool to manage anxiety, not only for now, but also in the future, for the rest of your life. Learning how to manage your well-being, manage your stress, build resiliency. The goal is not to get you to an anxiety-free, stress-free life. That is an unrealistic goal. The goal is to build resiliency in the face of challenges where something that might have given you a panic attack years ago or prior to coaching with me no longer has that hold on you, no longer has that grip on you. And how do we do that? We do that through lifestyle modification. So it sounds kind of boring, I know, but it's really fun. It's really fun to take a step back and look at your lifestyle and look at what I like to call your inputs and look at what inputs are causing more anxiety, more stress to your nervous system, and which ones are supporting your nervous system. What brings you joy peace, helps you feel grounded. So it's really like this personal inventory that we take where you start to identify, and I usually only work on 1 or 2 things at a time, because if we do too much all at once, that's gonna stress out your system as well. So a lot of clients come to me and they're like doing everything all at once. We gotta pull back a little bit. We gotta just focus on 1 or 2 measurable things that we're going to change, that will build resiliency and help us function more well in all the dimensions of our life. But although we might only be focusing on, let's say, physical health and occupational health, so we might only just focus on a couple of them. But overall, you'll start to see as you work with a life coach, a wellness coach, all of these areas within your well-being should improve. So I like to take a multifaceted approach to overcoming anxiety, air hunger, panic attacks from a breathing standpoint, but also seeing what you can do, empowering the client to overcome anxiety and help themselves fortify their health so that they are not over and hyper vigilant and overreactive to every stressor. We want you to be able to take on life, because life gets lifey, and we want you to be able to take on life feeling strong and like you are able to and capable, and you have vitality to not be overwhelmed by life, but really step into your capacity that I believe all people have. Sometimes we all just need a little bit of help. I know, myself included, when I was healing my air hunger and panic attacks, I worked with a bunch of different coaches, learning about the breath, learning about physiology, getting certifications in pelvic health, getting extra certifications. I dove deep into understanding and educating myself so that now, thankfully, I get to help other people, but I also got to help myself. And that was the best thing, being able to overcome this without medication, because I'm not against medication for anxiety. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, so I probably don't even have a right to say, but as a patient, I chose, and this is just my story, I chose not to take medication, although I was told by several doctors that I probably needed to be on an antidepressant for my anxiety. And I'm really glad that I listened to my intuition and I took responsibility for my health and noticed that there were several things I could do in my lifestyle and my well-being that could better support my anxiety. And I also knew intuitively that I was breathing wrong. I knew that this fixation on my breath, this urge to breathe more and more and more, and some of the dysfunctional patterns that I work with clients on, I knew that that wasn't a natural, balanced breath. I knew that. And so I worked and I searched, and that's why the company that I own is called Breathe Well Coaching. That was the question I wanted to know. I wanted to know, how do I breathe well? How do I do this? And so that's what I teach now. If you found this informative or helpful, if you're going through panic attacks, hyperventilation syndrome, air hunger, you're having probably a ton of questions, I love to jump on a free one-on-one coaching call with you. This is how I get my clients for Breathe Well, Live Well program. It's a 60-day private coaching program that isn't astronomically expensive, by the way. It's 100% virtual, but I get my clients this way, and I also just meet people. And that 30-minute call, sometimes it goes a little longer, but we get one-on-one time to talk about you, what your challenges are, what you're doing right now, what you've done to help yourself, where you're kind of getting stuck, and I'm gonna help you move towards where you want to go. Whether or not you choose to work with me or not, that is not my goal in the one-on-one coaching call, the discovery call. It's to be who I needed for myself in that moment when I was dealing with air hunger and I had all the questions and the doctors were kind of looking at me like I was out of my mind. So I needed a coach to sit down with me and just talk about what I was going through, what are my options, what are some things I can do. And that's what I love to do in that coaching discovery call. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, or if you just want to jump on that call and chat, go ahead and there'll be a link in the descriptions and in the comments of this video for you to book that call. Okay, that's enough. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry you're going through this. If you are, I'm here for you for any questions, and I hope you have a great day and breathe well. Bye.